Hey everyone, Jake from NV Composites here, and it has been 1 week since we launched our new SES road tires. And what we've seen over the week is there's been quite a few questions coming in via social media, email, through the customer service line. And we wanted to address some of these questions to make sure that everybody has all the information they need as they're making their next purchase decision for tires. So one of the questions that came in was, can I run these tires on non-tubeless rims? The answer to that question is yes, absolutely. What you'll see on the tire is, or the box is, that it says tubeless ready and inner tube compatible. So it is a tubeless tire, meaning it is designed and intended to be run tubeless. However, you can absolutely run it with inner tubes on a non-tubeless rim. The next question that came in is, can I run a tube in these tires? And the answer is a definitive yes. There is no issue running an inner tube in these tires. Again, they're designed to be tubeless. However, even riders using tubeless can occasionally get a flat tire. In those cases, we expect that people will use an inner tube to get home. But if you're somebody that does not want to use tubeless or does not have a tubeless compatible rim, you can absolutely run the tire with an inner tube. Another question in the same vein there says, if I want to, can I run these tires as clinchers? I think the question there is, can I run these tires on a standard non-tubeless clincher? And the answer is yes, you can run an inner tube, no problem, on a standard non-tubeless rim. If you own an SES wheelset prior to 2016, 2015, your rim will not be tubeless compatible, but you still may run the SES road tire with an inner tube. Another question came in is, if these tires aren't faster than the GP5000, why would I run them? Look, there's a lot of really great tires on the market, and faster is a little bit subjective. So in terms of aerodynamics, the SES road tires are absolutely on par. And when we say on par, they're within a watt of the same performance you get with the best aero road tire on the market, which the GP5000 is one of those very high performing aero tires. What we look at when we're developing the SES road tire system was the holistic performance of the tire. So yes, there's aero performance, but there's other things to consider as well. The weight of the tire, in this case, tubeless performance. So the SES road tires are compatible with a hookless rim. So if you have a foundation 45 or 65 or an SES AR, which rims are hookless, then you cannot run a lot of the tubeless tires on the market because the manufacturer does not permit it. In this case, we've designed the SES road tire specifically to accommodate a hookless rim construction, and we've done that by making sure that the bead diameter and the bead stiffness is compatible, meaning that the tire will mate with the rim and not stretch and blow off the rim over time or with heat. The other aspects to consider are puncture resistance and rolling resistance, in which case we've achieved a really nice balance to ensure longevity and reliability as you take these out on the road. In the case of the competition, if you look at the weight of the SES road tire, it's light, it rolls fast, and it has really high puncture resistance, making it a really balanced option that will improve the aerodynamic performance over what will either improve or match the aero performance of what you're currently running on your SES road wheel. Another question is, are these tires easier to take on and off of your SES rims? So I'm assuming that question is tied specifically to a tubeless setup. And so there are some considerations you must make when you're installing and removing tires off of a tubeless rim. So a tubeless rim has a drop center channel and then two shoulders on which the tire bead itself locks when it's inflated. That's what allows it to have a tight air seal, as well as prevent it from coming off the rim. And so what's important to remember is when you're installing any tubeless tire, you must do so differently than you did on a non-tubeless rim. And it's imperative that you make sure that every piece of the tire bead is in that drop center channel as you're doing the installation. So that's basically, that drop center in the rim is the most small diameter you can get of the rim, and it allows the tire to fit on the rim without any stress. If you want to see how to install and remove a tire one of the SES road tires on an SES wheel, skip to the end of the video and we'll do a little tutorial there to show and remind you of the proper technique to do so. Next question, if my wheels aren't tubeless, will these tires allow me to go tubeless? Definitely not. There are very specific design elements of a tubeless and a non-tubeless rim. Simply switching to a tubeless road tire on a non-tubeless rim will not allow you to safely transition or convert that rim to tubeless. So do not do that. If you have a non-tubeless rim, you can still run the SES road tire, just use an inner tube. Next question, will this tire fit on my bike? Well, we don't know what bike you have. If you want to tell us, we're happy to look it up and see if we can figure out what the max tire clearances are for your specific bike and model. You can also visit your bike manufacturer's website where they often list the max tire clearances for each frame model. Once you have that in hand, once you know what your max tire clearance is for your bike model, you need to know what rim you're riding and what that rim's internal width is. And then you can go to the NB product page for the SES road tire, and there's a chart on there that will show you what the inflated width of the tire will be on a specific rim width. So on the back of the tire packaging, we have a similar chart. So in the case of the 25, for example, if you're running a rim that has a 21 millimeter internal, it shows that the inflated width at operating pressure will be 26 millimeters. So if your bike has max clearance up to 28 millimeters, you would be good in this situation. And so you can follow that exercise to determine whether or not a specific SES road tire model is compatible with your specific bike. Another question is, what size tire is best for a specific SES rim model? So again, if you visit the SES road tire product page, we've also listed which tire sizes are best optimized for what specific or each specific SES rim model. Generally speaking, for the SES, and it's going to depend on what your priorities are in terms of ride performance. So if you're a racer, if you're a triathlete, if you're looking for maximum aero performance and you have one of our standard SES road wheel models, so that'd be a 7.8, a 5.6, or a 3.4 non-AR. So these would be the tubeless rims with hook beads. Those wheels have been aerodynamically optimized for our 25 millimeter tire. So that's the tire size you're going to want to run if you're looking for pure race performance, most weight savings, most aero performance. If you're running an AR wheel set, your options are much broader. AR wheel sets have a 25 millimeter internal. You can run the 27, the 29, or the 31. If you're using an AR wheel set for some really fast group rides or racing, then you probably want to look at the 27. If you're looking for a good all-rounder, the 29, and if you're looking for more mixed surface or really rough road usage or more comfort, then the 31 is going to be the tire that you're going to want to pair with your AR wheel set. So again, we have a chart. The reality is that they're all pretty cross-compatible. It's just going to depend on what your goals and objectives are as a rider. Next question is, where are these tires made? So when NB decided we wanted to make a tire, we started shopping the globe for a tire manufacturing partner. There are a lot of options out there, a lot of great manufacturers, and in the end we chose to go with Tufo, who's located in the Czech Republic. We chose Tufo as a partner because of their ability to do small batch handmade tires. They were willing to work with us as a true development partner, which means we got to bring specific ideas related to tread, to casing construction, to casing laminate and layup as well. And to pair that with their experience, they've been making tires for over 25 years. They have a lot of expertise in-house. They have the ability to formulate their own rubber compounds. And ultimately, it was the best option for NB, given that our goal with the SES road tires is to provide top-level performance primarily to our customers who have already purchased SES road wheel sets. And so we're not looking to take over the tire world. We're looking to provide a performance upgrade to people that are riding SES road wheels, and Tufo was the partner that offered us the best expertise, materials, and was willing to do the small quantities and batches we were looking for to deliver that value to you, our SES road customers. So tires are made by Tufo in the Czech Republic. next question is, will these SES road tires work with my G23 wheel set? And if so, what size? So your G23, if you have a G23 wheel set, has a 23 millimeter internal rim width. It is a hookless rim. And so the nature of it being hookless means you're limited to the 27, the 29, or the 31 millimeter tires based on the fact that it's a 23 millimeter internal rim width. So for a G23, you can run any one of those tire sizes. Your best bet is going to, again, it's going to go to what your objectives are and what your use is with that G23 wheel set. But the 29 and the 31 are going to be your best pairing options for the G23. Next question is, if these tires aren't the fastest and they aren't the lightest, why would I want to buy them? Again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's not about, with SES, it's about real world performance. It's about looking at what the best balance of performance is in the real world. You know, the lightest weight tires in the world are also the most puncture prone. The most aerodynamic tires in the world are sometimes heavy, or they sometimes don't have the best rolling resistance, or they sometimes aren't the lightest. And so there's a lot of factors to consider, especially given that any one of those, whether it be rolling resistance, puncture resistance, lightweight, aerodynamics, any one of those performance metrics standalone on its own is not going to equate to real world performance. And so what we've looked at with these tires is the best balance of all those attributes in a tire that can last you for many miles and deliver a high level of performance no matter where you ride them. And one last question here is, when will all sizes be available? So currently we have in stock and are shipping our 25 millimeter and 29 millimeter tires. Due to the COVID pandemic situation, some of our shipping and lead times were delayed, as well as development on the 27 and 31, but we expect to have those tires, unfortunately not until the end of Q4, but by the end of the year we expect to be shipping the 27 and 31 tires as well. So as promised, and one of the questions that has frequently come in is, will these tires be difficult to install or easier or harder than other tires that somebody has used? And the answer to that is, depends on the technique you're using. So we're going to go over what the proper technique is to install a tubeless tire of any type. So the first thing to remember is, or to understand, is there is a specific design element to a tubeless rim that allows the tire to be installed. So what you have as far as the anatomy of a tubeless rim, you have your two beads, you have shoulders each side, and then you have your drop center channel. So the drop center channel gives you allows the smallest diameter possible in the rim design and construction. That diameter, or that channel there, is there to put the tire beads in so that you can install and remove a tire without using brute force and big metal tire levers and all those things. So when you're installing a tire, the first step is locate your valve stem. And we're always going to start opposite the valve stem. We still want to line up the logos because that's just best practice. And we have good style here at Envy, so line your logos up with your valve stem. But we're going to start opposite the valve stem. And the reason for that is the rubber nub here from the end of the valve is going to cause conflict with that drop center channel. So that is going to, be something that the bead could get bound on. So we're going to start opposite the valve. We're going to locate our Envy logo, and we're just going to line it up there so that we're effectively lined up, and we're going to drop it onto the rim over here. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm putting the bead in the drop center channel. Not up here on the shoulder, not on this shoulder, in the center channel. And then we're just going to work that first half of the bead on. Again, the goal is to do the Envy logo, the valve stem side last. So as you're going around, the tire can sometimes have, it can kind of sometimes pop up onto one of those shoulders. And if it does so, you just want to make sure it's seated. And so you put that first bead on, And now I'm just going to go around and make sure that as much of the tire, all of the tire bead is in that drop center channel. So a good indicator is you can see the shoulder on that side and you can see the bead here. So you know that it's not on any of that shoulder. So here at the valve stem, you'll see that that space is a little bit narrower because it is, being prevented from dropping into the drop center channel because the valve's there. So again, going back to opposite the valve, I'll just set this here. We're just going to work the tire bead on. Again, making sure that the bead is in that drop center channel as much as possible. So it can get a little tight. So now we have about 4 inches, 6 inches left, and we are just going to work it on. Okay, so you see, it takes a little bit of elbow grease, but nothing extreme, no tire levers required. And again, the key to that is making sure that the drop center channel is holding the tire bead. Okay, so now we have the whole tire bead installed, we have the whole tire installed. The next step is going to be inflation, and one of the questions that's coming is, will I be able to inflate these tires with my floor pump? And the answer is maybe, depending on the floor pump you have. Most floor pumps are going to get the job done in our experience, so we'll see how this tire goes. One of the key things to remember is to make sure that the tire beads are on either side of the valve stem hole there, so that you're not, blasting air into space. You want it to go into the tire, so make sure it's doing that. So we'll try this and see how we do. Each MB wheel set comes with this valve core remover, so if this won't inflate with the valve core it's in order to increase airflow into the tire, we'll remove the valve core, which 9 times out of 10 gets the job done. So we've got this floor pump here. Let's see if we'll be able to inflate with the valve core in. And if not, we will remove the valve core and see how we do that. So just set that down. Okay, so this one's starting to take. So we're at 40 PSI. So we're at 40 PSI, and this is a 29 millimeter tire. So you're hearing the bead seat. There we go. Sticky old valve. There we go. And next thing you do is you want to look around, make sure the witness line is even around the whole rim. And this looks like it has seated. So in the case that wouldn't have inflated with the valve core in, we can take this fancy valve stem cap / valve removal tool, and we'll remove the valve core, and I'll show you how we do that as well. So if this wouldn't have inflated, you remove the valve core. You can pop the beads off again. Just to give you the full. So again, make sure that the bead is covering the whole valve stem so the air will go in the rim. So now without the valve core in, we will do the same thing. We've got our valve core inside the valve core removal tool. So we'll just set that aside. And we will now, we've attached the pump head to the raw valve core with no, or the valve stem with no valve core. And we'll just inflate it again. Oh, we gotta make sure we're covered there, yep. And we'll just inflate one more time. Why is it not working, Mike? Make sure we're seated on here. Okay, so same thing. We're at 40 PSI, and the valve, or the tire beads have seated. as indicated by the snapping noise of them going up onto those shoulders. Looks like we have seated the tire everywhere. So we'll remove this. So there's no valve core in here. So as I remove this, all the air is of course going to flow out, which is okay because the tire bead has seated onto the shoulders, which is where the seal is created. So pumping it up the next time is going to be really easy. I'm winded. This is also, are we still rolling? Okay. So this is also the point, now that the beads have been seated, this is also the point where you would want to add your tire sealant. So add your tire sealant through the valve, add your valve core, put your valve core back on, make sure it's nice and snug, and you can inflate now with no issues to your desired tire pressure. So if you're wondering what tire pressure you should run, we have a tire pressure calculator online, which will, if you go to envy.com, learn, you can go and find your rim model and your weight and get a rough idea of the tire pressure that you'd want to run. In this case, with this 29, if it was me, I typically run around 50 PSI. So pump it up and close your valve core and you should be ready to ride. Okay, so that's the whole installation. You know, you saw me get a little winded. Installing tubeless tires can be a little nuanced. You know, to remove the tire, it's the same exercise. You're going to deflate it, pop the beads into the drop center channel, and then you remove the tire the same way you put it on. Removal can sometimes require a tire lever just because you can't get your finger in there to pop that bead up and over the edge, but same process. Get all the tire into the drop center channel, and then removing the tire will be exponentially easier. So just remember, drop center channel, get the tire bead in there. You can do it with a floor pump. Again, it can be a little nuanced. You may have to remove the valve core, which you're going to have to do anyway, put sealant in the tire eventually. So you may just want to start there. It'll maximize the airflow. But other than that, we have a tire that's inflated and ready to ride. So once you've installed your tire, you can go ride your bike. If you have any questions, let us know. Reach out to customer service, shoot us an email, and we'd be happy to answer your questions and provide you more information and work through any of your tubeless tire questions with you. Thank you.